Okay, I'll get going anyway, because I thought I'd have just a little ramble, yeah, just to recap on some of sort of what we've been covering, because sometimes we keep doing practices, and hopefully there is a purpose to all the practices we're doing, and they're lots of short sort of experiences of the theory that we talk about. But I thought I'd just summarize the theory in a different way, which might help. So maybe the thing that we might remember today is that this awareness that we keep talking about, or this knowing that we've been constantly shifting and relocating out of that thinking mind, that is ultimately, it's already free. I mean, I know we've been saying that let's untangle it from thoughts, and let's allow it to shift to direct experience of whatever we've been working with, sounds or body or breath. But ultimately, it's already free. There's nothing keeping it located in our head, or that feeling of being in the head. The only thing that's keeping it there, you could say, is forgetfulness. Like it has forgotten that it is free to shift. Um, and when we say it has forgotten, we're really talking about we have forgotten, because our experience is that actually what we are is that awareness. That is ultimately seems to be, from our practices, what we are. We move, our sense of being moves with that awareness. Um, so we have just forgotten that we don't have to live in and through our thoughts, whether they're subtle thoughts that we barely notice, or whether they're really gross and obvious sort of mental distractions. The thinking mind can't liberate awareness because it has no ownership over awareness. The thinking mind is just a distraction that awareness becomes over interested in, if you like. So yes, there is awareness of thoughts for sure, and probably an over fascination with those thoughts. But in the same way, if when we've explored it and shifted awareness around, we see there's also an equal awareness of sound. There's an equal awareness of sensation. There's an equal awareness of smell. And in fact, some schools of Buddhism talk about thinking and the power of thought and perception and emotion as a sixth sense. So they just talk about it as another arising, like sound, sight, smell, touch, and so on. So that's why some teachings argue that any attempt to make ourselves happier via manifesting better conditions, therapizing ourselves, or even trying to change our behavior is ultimately isn't pointless, but it's a very long-winded way to go about things, because what they propose is that is just shuffling about the pieces on the playing board of the thinking mind, where awareness is already trapped. So what these direct teachings propose is that instead of just shuffling around, situation that's already present and already mistaken, awareness simply needs to shift out of, or untangle its identification with that game, with that playing board, if you like. And then it can just get on with experience in life, and thought can just get on with doing what thought does, which is thinking and solving problems. But what happens is awareness doesn't mistake thought to be an identity. It just sees thought to be a natural process, like sounds and touch and everything else, something that happens. So yeah, I thought I'd do a little summary. Don't worry if that makes no sense. Do watch it back again, maybe later if it helps, because obviously that was very quick in 4 minutes. But what we'll do is we'll just continue to explore loosening that awareness, freeing it, allowing it to be free, and allowing it to fall into direct experience. And the more we do that, the more we start to see that it is completely free, and it is ultimately what we are. Some schools and systems call that God, or spirit, or all sorts of other things, but awareness is a much more easy to deal with word, probably. So make yourself comfortable. We'll do a not a dissimilar one to last time, but we will focus on a smaller area. So we're going to focus on the face and the mouth particularly. Just yeah, cool. So we start, and I'll guide you through this in a slightly more broken way so you can see what practices we're doing. So we're going to start as ever with a concentration practice, which is settling that jumping mind a little bit. The mind is jumping all over the place, the thoughts, ideas, feelings. And our first practice is always concentration. And that might be counting your breath down from 5 to 0. That might be just focusing on sounds coming and going. Maybe following sensations in the body. Whatever works for you for the first few minutes. And we remember that this is quite a forceful practice, the concentration part. It requires effort and willpower to keep coming back to the focus of our attention. And you might take a few breaths just to soften anything you're holding on to in the body. Any tension that you might be feeling. Just allowing that to soften and slide out of the body as you exhale, and letting go of what you're comfortable. Don't let go of more than you feel happy to. Now just start to be aware of the face in particular. We'll bring attention to the face, noticing any tension there, the cheeks, the jaw, forehead. Not a focusing on any one part, just a noticing. So now we'd say this was more of a mindfulness practice. Rather than focusing the mind on one tight thing, we're just noticing from the point of mind. Notice tension come and go, sensations come and go. Just watching things pass through, including thoughts, feelings and emotions. Don't cling to anything. Don't resist it. Just allow it to pass through, noticing everything. And normally in mindfulness we are attentive from another location. So the things that you're observing come and go. Where are you observing those from? Where does it feel as if the observer is located? Does it feel as if it's inside the skull, inside your head? Is that mindful noticing of experience being filtered or routed via that space inside the head? Without any interference or effort from thinking mind, just allow awareness to untangle itself from that location in the skull or behind the eyes. And like a bubble floating down towards the ground, just let it slowly sink forwards and down until it settles over your entire face. Just a shift forwards and down slightly, so that awareness doesn't feel as if it's inside the head, locked away. Awareness now settles across the entire face. Aware of the mass of sensations in the face, the aliveness of your skin, heaviness of the eyes, tingling at your temples and your cheeks. Aware directly from those places. And the moment that awareness flickers back to thought, flickers back to inside the head, you will feel it as a shift or a tugging or an effort. So unlike in concentration where we notice that and then pull it back, in this practice we just notice that's happened and we allow awareness to untangle itself and fall back down. It's a very different experience. There's no effort involved at all. In fact, it's the opposite. So just rest as the tingling. Relax back as the sensation, as the aliveness of your scalp. your forehead, your ears. May be amazed by this mass of experience that is constantly overlooked because of our obsession with thinking, planning, perceiving. And be aware of any areas of tension in the face or the head. Aware of the tension from the place of tension and as a place of tension. Tension remains because we're never directly present with it. We never accept it. And there's always a subtle resistance that maintains it. So now just be aware of it directly, if you're comfortable to do so. It may be in the jaw, the forehead, eyes, inside the head, at the temples. And if you're comfortable to, just allow that tension to unfold within your awareness without any fear. And simply dissolve away, not holding it or resisting it anymore. If you relocate or flick back inside the head or to the thoughts, emotions, memories, just relax your effort, allow awareness to soften and return back to the face and the head, outside of the skull. Falling down heavier into the jaw. What's the experience of the jaw from within the jaw itself? Notice the heaviness of the jaw. Maybe the bottom lip falls slightly away from the top lip as that heaviness is allowed to be present without resistance. Without the subtle thought that we can't let go of that heaviness. awareness falling into the inside of the mouth, aware the inside of the cheeks, any tension or sensation present there. Awareness of the tongue as the tongue itself, and awareness be located directly in the tongue. Soften any effort, just allow it to rest there. Noticing the tension of holding the tongue, and just resting the tongue completely, allowing it to fall heavily in the mouth. Aware of the space inside the mouth, what is awareness of that empty space like? How does awareness experience empty space? Does it recognize it by the absence of objects? Now just allow the awareness to dissolve across the entire head, face, scalp. And we'll just take 3 steps back. So first step, we notice sensation. Now taking a step back and being aware of the experiencing or the sensing itself. If you're falling back from the objects, the feelings, the tingling, just falling back to the experiencing or sensing of those objects. And then falling back one further step, aware of the awareness of the sensing and the knowing and the experiencing. If the mind or thinking mind tries to get involved at this point, it gets very confused because it has no idea where to look. So don't go to thinking mind, there's no need to. And now let the breath just re-emerge. So awareness is fully aware of the breath moving again. Allow the breath to just become slightly more active, a little bit longer, maybe deeper. And as you do that, it starts to bring a connection back to your physical body. It starts to just energize and refresh your arms, legs, chest, head, hands and feet. Maybe feeling some gentle movement, slowly returning to your fingers and your toes. As you just count up a few breaths towards 4 or 5, you might feel the urge to take a big stretch, or rub your hands together, or rub your face, or anything that feels useful for you. And remembering we can shift back to this at any point we want, any point we remember during the day. It's just a constant remembering to shift, that's all, until we forget a little bit less. Good, and now opening your eyes if they're not already open. Good, hopefully feeling a bit refreshed and prepared for the tribulations of the average Friday.